Ward many, many times. He knows the place pretty good. He's passed out on the floor there a couple of times.
Greaves' social status isn't quite where it used to be. I've been slumming it a little bit. But I have managed to acquire a mule, and I'm still trying to run my pie business off of a mule at the moment.
Off of a mule.
So sort of like a food truck, but on a mule? Food mule?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm at the bottom right now.
Serafina might have gone in there when she was meeting a contact, looking for a bounty or two. Somebody who didn't pay their bill, or child support, or, things like that. Tax.
Well, I'll give you this, Serafina. Seeing that you've done some mercenary work down there, I'll give you to where you have actually taken on a couple of contracts from the Zentarum. And basically so you know that they are a network of thieves and spies, and they're a major organization all throughout the Forgotten Realms and the Sword Coast and Faerun and etc. And the Skewer Dragon, you kind of think that maybe this tavern is maybe owned or ran by the actual Zentarum itself, because it's not this, it's not the most savory of places. It's actually pretty seedy. And you guys travel down to, we'll just kind of accelerate a little bit. You guys travel down to the dock ward, and you tell your taxi driver to take you to Net Street and Fillet Lane, and you guys are taken right to the area. And as they get to the the more seedy part of the dock ward, the driver stops and he goes, "This is as far as I'm taking you. I'm not going any further into the dock wards," because Greaves and Dante and Serafina, you guys would know that this is a pretty rough and tumble place. And the driver takes off and they just skedaddle off around the corner and you don't see him anymore.
Well, fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't have come any further than this either. I don't blame him.
Yeah. Be on your guard.
Yeah, the dock safe, the dock ward is definitely not safe. It's definitely not the castle district, that's for sure. So, as you guys are in these slum quarters, basically, there's all kinds of tall, densely packed, and actually, I would actually say Aeptor and Wukrath, you guys actually kind of feel a little uncomfortable just being here. Just because it's so unsavory and just, it's all these densely packed buildings and, people out on the streets puking and pissing and crapping, and it's not the best place. So, but
I
you guys
don't
are
even like to bring
feeling
Horace here.
Horace? Who's Horace?
He's my mule.
Oh, yeah, because he probably ended up being stolen or cooked right out on the street. So it's a dark place. Sure, there could have been lots of lighting, but all of the street lamps have basically had the glass shattered out of them, and all of the big candles stolen. Probably it's what's lighting all of the houses around here and the little shacks and quarters that they live in. You can smell the salt, the salty air coming in from the water. And like I said, all of these are, run down buildings. There's all kinds of excrement you can smell, and it's just, crappy.
It's like San Francisco, right?
Yeah, could be. I haven't been to San Francisco, but I've been to San Diego.
They got bums and crap all over the street right now. It's kind of sad.
Like Baltimore. You mean like Baltimore?
Baltimore, there you go.
Just because I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, or Pittsburgh. It's like Pittsburgh or Baltimore, the armpits of the East Coast. So, yeah. So, as you guys are, traveling down towards Zastro Street, as you come to an intersection, something, and Wukrath and Apter, you're like, whoa, you're kind of taken back by what you see, because as you turn the corner, you guys find yourself, face to face with a whole group of City Watch, and it looks like they have like a perimeter set up, because lying on the cobblestones there's at least a half dozen corpses that it seems like they're from two different factions basically. And then you guys are starting to put two and two together, and you're like, holy crap, it looks like these same guys that just rushed into the yawning portal and attacked Yagra because they're in that same type of black garb and stuff like that. And there's some other bandits as well. And you, Mrs. Serafina, you would recognize these as the agents from the Zentarum. And you're like, holy crap. So it looks like there was a fight between the Zentarum and the guild from, Xanathar's guild. And like I said, there's at least a half dozen corpses that are lying all around. And there's at least a dozen guards there too. And there's on the side, sitting on one of the edges of the streets, there are some officers that are disarming and basically tying up 3 of these blood-drenched, and they look like humans, and it looks like they're questioning them. And as you guys are walking down the street more towards where you're trying to go to the skewer dragon, one of the officers sees you and he says, "All right, get on." She says, "There's nothing to see here. Move along." And so basically, they're just kind of pushing you along, and you guys are watching this. But it definitely looks like there is a big fight here, and it was Xanathar's guild and also the Zentarum. And you guys, it was a bloody affair.
Do we recognize anybody from the brawl we were in?
Oh, you mean like the two guys that basically disengaged and basically got out of there? No, it doesn't look like them. No.
What about Wenzel?
No, not him. He could barely even breathe. He was in pretty bad shape as Wookrath basically stabilized him. But he basically disappeared. But no, it's not him, and it's not the other 2 guys that escaped. But it does look like it's from those 2 factions. So it looks like not only is something going on in the Yawning Portal, but it looks like something happened here also. And they're questioning those 3 guys.
So I kind of slow my walk a little bit as we're getting close to the 3 guys, and I bend down to tie my shoe because it's obviously needs to be tied right now, and I try to overhear what they're talking about, what they're being questioned about.
Give me a perception check in the tower. And as you are leaning down and tying your shoes, there's just so much commotion with people. Like you can hear people yelling and screaming, probably wives and husbands yelling and fighting. You can hear babies crying, but there's just too much noise to where you can understand what the guards and those 3 human bandits are talking about. So you can't understand them. But as you're tying your shoe, you're just kind of looking around too, gauging on what's going on, and you see actually a rather weird something that's standing out as you're looking, because there is as the sun is basically gone down now, there's this huge lit window in a storefront, and this is like standing out more than anything else. And the whole entire building is painted this god-awful color purple, like a deep purple. And in the window, you recognize this stuffed animal, a big stuffed creature with 9 eyes, and it's a stuffed beholder. And above the door, there's a sign in elaborate letters that spell out Old Zoblob Shop. And, it's weird, but that definitely catches your eye, and you're like, what in the hell? And it's just a couple of buildings down from the Skewered Dragon. Old Zoblob Shop. That's what the storefront says. And I'll put that in there.
And it had a stuffed beholder in the front glass?
Yeah, a big purple stuffed beholder with 9 eye stalks. Yep, and it says Old Zoblob Shop. And then a couple of other storefronts down. There is the Skewered Dragon. But no, you can't hear anybody as you're trying to hear the guards question the 3 gentlemen that they've got basically hogtied. You can't understand anything, Dante.
Could I
Well,
try and check if
I'll
there's
just
any?
go right up to him and say, "Hey, what happened here? Hey, mates, what's going on?"
Well, before you can even get close to him, a couple of the other guards come out, and they, of course, they have long swords drawn and stuff, and they say, "Move along, move along. There's nothing to see here, basically."
Well, I'll ask them. Hey, what happened? Why'd you nick those guys?
Can't you see that there was a huge fight here? A lot of bloodshed. That's all we're going to talk about. Just move along. There's nothing to see here, sir.
All right. I'm going.
Greaves wants to check around for any signs of like thieves' cant, like hidden codes, or even if these like thugs are kind of trying to talk to each other. And
Nice. I would say probably give me a perception check. Because you don't have time to like search around for stuff to investigate. So you can give me a perception. With your check, I'll say that you do see a little bit of thieves' camp, like markings in the wood and on the corners of buildings and stuff that are basically both the Xanathar's Guild and the Zentarum are trying to claim this area as theirs, basically.
all right.
So it's just marking saying, this is our territory, and that's, could be one of the reasons why they probably fought tonight.
So I want to go over and try and identify one of the guards that would seem most receptive to, an advance or something, and go up to him and try and slip him a gold piece and try and get some information from him.
That would be interesting. I'll tell you what, and it's basically going to be one of the guards, because they've got a parameter set up. And it would probably be, I would say it would be the same guard that is telling Dante to move along. So why don't you give me give me a persuasion check. I would say persuasion would probably be what we want. So the guard, he kind of pulls you to the side and he says to you, he says, "You're a man of faith and you're trying to bribe one of the city watch?" He says, are you trying to offer me money?
No.
He says, this is one of the tenets of Waterdeep. You cannot do this. Or he goes, I don't understand why you're doing this. And if I wasn't as busy as I am right now, I would probably haul you in right now if I wasn't as busy as I am. So I think you just might want to move along right now.
Can I intervene?
Understood.
Sure, Greaves.
I just want to try and calm him down and tell him we're just a little concerned because we've run into some trouble ourselves earlier this evening.
Why don't you give me a persuasion check as you're trying to? Actually, this is the female city watch that originally told you guys to move along. So you do actually intervene with Aeptor, and you get her calmed down a little bit, but she still looks over towards you, Aeptor, and she says, coming from a man of the faith, she says, I cannot believe that you just offered one of the city watch a bribe.
It's not a bribe. I'm just trying to pay you for, your time, and I just have a couple of questions. We're out here working for Mr. Volo Camp or whatever his name is.
That nut job? That nut job, that braggart, that notorious embellisher of false facts, you work for him?
That's the one.
That's him.
Yeah.
We're just trying to find his. Yeah. We're just trying to find his companion named Floon Blagmar, and we were wondering if
Blagmar. Well, I'll tell you what. I've never heard of this Floon Blagmar, and if he has anything to do with Volo, which we have had several run-ins with Volo before, because he does like to tip one back every once in a while as she's taking her hand and kind of like tilting back a cup and tilting her head back. She says, he is definitely an embellisher of facts. So if I were you, I would probably stay away from Volo. He's not the most trustworthy guy. And have you ever read any of that ridiculous stuff that he writes? And then she just kind of rolls her eyes and she says, "Have a good night, gentlemen." And she just kind of walks away.
All right, I thank her for her time and keep on walking. And
what do you think that was about?
Thank you, Grieve. Grieve.
Yeah, Greaves. He saved you from some trouble. That's for sure.
I'm a little curious about this Bolo character.
I mean, his
Yeah,
books are
he's
everywhere.
willing
His
to-
works,
he's
his
willing,
pamphlets.
to pay us good money to walk around the dockboard and get some more drinks. Yeah, don't worry about it. Here it is. Here's the speed dragon.
Yeah, and there's
Where to then?
So among the ruffians and everything that was
Ooh,
kind
I
of
like that word, ruffians. I like it.
caught up here in this, I want to say, crime scene, are there any noticeable middle-aged redhead men, human men? I'm assuming that's what Floon is.
There is not. No one that fits the description of him. Of the, you mean among the dead that are kind of strewn out all over
Right,
the
sorry.
cobblestone street? Yeah, there's
Yeah.
nothing that resembles Floon.
Well, that's good news. He's not dead.
He's
we know?
probably dead. I know this place pretty well. A dandy down here. It doesn't look good.
So from the street corner, you mentioned the shop, and the window, I'm
Yeah.
guessing, is facing the crime scene.
It is,
Maybe you
yeah.
can canvass the area, question some people, see who saw something.
Oh, yeah, that's possible, yeah. Yeah, old Zoblob, you were down there tying your shoestrings there, Dante's, and you saw that. You're like, that's actually a pretty cool looking beholder. Big old stuffed beholder. Probably about 3 to 5 feet wide. I mean, this thing is just awesome. It would look awesome hung up in your home.
You know, I'd really like to question one of those men they have.
Oh, the ones that are surrounded by the guards being questioned right now?
Yes.
Good luck with that.
I don't know, but perhaps we could cause some sort of distraction. Or cut one of them loose somehow. Slip them a dagger.
You're insane, man.
Yeah, I
not a
would
good
advise
idea.
against.
Look, these guys don't have anything to do with Floon. Come on, let's go and see if the bartender can tell us something. Plus, I'm getting thirsty.
Plus, the best time to question a prisoner is when they're behind bars. Just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's go then.
All right, so you guys walk by Zoblob's shop, and a couple.
I do want to go into Soblob's shop. Because one, I want to ask how much that beholder is, and two, to see if he saw or, bore any witness to what happened.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can stop in there if you want. Does everybody else want to go to the bar, or?
I kind of see her stop and go in. It's like, oh, come on, all right.
Are you gonna say it's woman
It's
shopping?
got weird purple stuff in there.
Woman shopping. Well, you do notice, Dante's, as Seraphina goes up to the door and kind of cracks the door open, you can hear a bell jingle, and as she opens the door, there's like a cloud of lavender scented purple smoke that's kind of coming out of the door like Cheech and Chong. And you kind of peer inside, Seraphina. And, as you're kind of looking through the purple smoke, all the walls are painted purple, and there's all kinds of dusty knickknacks all over the shelves. These knickknacks are all dyed like a deep violet purple. There's a theme of purple here. And on the counter, you can see that there's a hairless gnome sitting cross-legged on the counter, and he's also wearing a plum-colored robe. And, his cheeks are all decorated with, he's got all these eyes painted on them. And you kind of recognize these, Seraphina, as the same types of eyes that were painted on the head of the gentleman that attacked Yagra. So you're like, oh, this is weird. And he's also smoking a pipe that's putting off purple smoke. And he exhales. And that's my hillbilly language right there, right? Exhale. And he raises his hand and waves, and he says, "Oh, hail and well met, my friends. Please come in and browse the shelves of the most curiosity shop in all of the world."
I'm not gonna lie, I'm totally curious now. So
Welcome to Zoblobs. Welcome, my friends. Come in. It says, what can I do for you tonight? This beautiful night here in the dark woods of Waterdeep.
I follow her in.
He said, "Oh, my name's Zoblob. Come on in."
You're a Zomblob? I always thought that was the Beholder that was Zomblob.
It's everything is kind of themed off of him. I bought this place from the old owner a couple of years ago, and I've settled in quite nicely. And I decided to name it something else, and the name that I had chosen wasn't too well, and I used to have a bakery here, which was named Pinchaloaf, by the way. I'm sure you've probably heard of it. We were famous for our loaves of swirly rye bread, purpley rye bread. But anyway, patrons were complaining. Everybody liked the old Zoblob shop, so I got rid of the bakery, and then I broke out all the trinkets again. So now it's the old Zoblob shop again. But I'm Zoblob. I legally changed my name as well. But
I've
of
seen
course,
this place a million times. I've never been in here.
Well, there's no relation to the Eye Tyrant, by the way. No relation. So the real Zoblob and I, no relationship. We have lots of trinkets for sale. I'm having a special, 5 gold apiece, and he points over to a purple box, and there's a lid with a hole on it. And he goes, it's the Shanghai surprise. It's the mystery mix. You just reach in 5 gold and you pull out a trinket, and that's what you get for 5 gold. But once you stick your hand in, you got to pay the 5 gold.
No, I'll pass on that one.
I'll do it.
Alrighty. So he walks on the counter over towards the box, and he picks up this box and he gives it a good shake. And you can hear all kinds of glass and, metal kind of clanging around, wood. You can hear all kinds of stuff clanging and banging around in this box. So he kind of tilts it towards you and he says, "Go ahead, 5 gold." And he sets the box down and he holds out his hand. So,
well, I just got paid some. So, yeah, I will totally give the 5 gold. And I will slide my left hand. I'm right-handed, by the way, so if something happens to my left hand, I'm okay. All
right. So let's see what type of trinkets you get. So why don't you give me a D100 roll? Right-click on that 10-sided, hit the percentage, and throw it into the chat box. So it looks like you rolled a 12. So as you reach in, you grab something, and something feels a little sharp, and you pull this item out, and what you pull out is a small cloth doll skewered with needles. So looks like some type of maybe cultist type of magic. Maybe this was used for something like that. Maybe a voodoo doll or something.
Ooh.
I'd like to do this as well.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so much fun. It reminds me of like childhood games or something.
Right? Yeah. So you got a small cloth doll skewered with needles, and you can put that on your inventory sheet. Maybe that might have something to do with something one day. You don't know. Oh, so you would like to buy something as well? Hey, you're the pie guy. Hey, pie guy.
I used to buy my dough from you back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Special deal for you. 5 gold.
Lovely. And I want to go ahead and try and grab something else and stuff it in my sleeve while my hand's in there.
Oh, so give me a... Ooh, wow, look at you.
Going for a
2-for-1, huh? So why don't you pay the guy, you pay old Zoblod 5 gold, and you reach your hand into this box. So why don't you give me, first off, give me a sleight of hand check. You can easily pick, you actually really inconspicuously, okay, so the first item, give me the first item that you're getting. So you'll have 2 items that you get to roll first. So D100 twice. The first item is what you stick up your sleeve. So which is a 93. So the first item that you stick up your sleeve, and you really hide this well, which is an empty wine bottle. It feels like an empty wine bottle. And it's bearing a pretty label that says The Wizard of Wine's Winery, Red Dragon Crush 331422-W. So that's the first item that you're able to stick up your sleeve. Now, the second roll, go ahead and do the next D100, which is a, let's see, should be what was that, a 40 and a 10? So that should be, what, a 41. So you found a gemstone that looks like a lump of coal when examined by anyone but you. Because when you pull it out and you have that wine bottle on your sleeve, and it looks like a gem to you, basically. Yeah, so let's see. You have
that's lovely. Look at this.
Yeah, you have a 40.
What, the coal? You got a lump of coal? You think that's worth 5 gold?
Well, coal turns into it, yes, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But that's beautiful. Oh, man. He's got a charm spell on you folks or something.
To you, Greaves, it looks like a diamond.
Still soon parted, right? Fooling his money, right?
Look again.
Hey, yeah. So Zolob or whatever. Did you see what happened out here in front of your store?
Well, Matt, I heard a little commotion going on, but I tend to try to stick my. Look, I'm going to tell you what. The rent is cheap here, and I don't want my landlord giving me any kind of like a hike on my monthly rent. So I try to keep my nose out of everybody's business around here. But
there's 5 dead guys in the street. What do you mean this little noise?
It kind of reminds.
What happened?
Well, yeah, I kind of seen something happen the other night as well, 2 nights ago. The matter of fact, there's been so much. I mean, of course, there's all kinds of trouble around here in the Dock District anyway. Yes, but
whoa, wait a minute. What happened 2 nights ago?
There was a couple of guys that they looked like they were drunk. They were having a good time. They were yelling at some kids that were playing some games in the streets and but anyway, how about what? I'm giving you. I'll tell you what. My mind is becoming a little hazy right now. I love the color purple. Does anybody have anything?
They just paid you 10 gold for worthless trinkets. That's a pretty good take for you.
Well, those trinkets have a lot of value.
We're looking for a guy. It might be him.
Oh, I suppose you're a hard bargainer. But there was a couple of well-dressed men that they kind of looked alike. Actually, they probably could have passed as brothers, possibly if not twins. But they were jumped out right outside of my shop. And that's why I put my beholder up in the window, is to try to scare away these goons. But anyways, a couple of guys got jumped by some of these rough-looking. Actually, it looks like they may have been jumped by some of the same guys that are laying dead face down in the street right now. Serves them right. But I don't know who they were, but they were drunk. They were drunk, having fun, and there were 5 guys jumped them. It was 5-on-2. I almost went out there and I almost showed them who was the boss. But then again, I thought about, well, I don't know if I want to get involved, and but they didn't look familiar to me. But I remember one of the guys had like a black tattoo of like a winged snake or something on his neck. But that's all I remember.
Well, where did they go?
I don't know. I just kind of went to the.
Did they go?
They just kind of. I think they kind of pulled him off down by that bar that's a couple places down. They might have pulled him back there.
Calm down. Now we're not here to interrogate.
Well, I'm a businessman, and I'm trying to keep costs down. And if my rent goes up. Well, I don't feel like I'm being interrogated. I just get a little excited. I'm sorry.
There.
Yes. Are you done berating me? Would any of you like to buy any other trinkets? Just 5 gold.
So what kind of trinkets does he have on the shelves?
Oh, there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's, some potions, all purple, by the way. All these potions are purple. There's, just all kinds of trinkets and knickknacks. Nothing that looks like they would be magical or, it's just a bunch of junk. Anything that you can think of would probably be up there. Purple daggers, purple swords, anything from the player's handbook, painted purple, stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah. He's got purple healing potions, 50 gold per piece. I dyed him purple to fit the theme of Zoblobs.
Yeah, maybe we could come back in a couple of levels.
Right.
What do you mean by a couple of levels? I don't understand that.
Is there a purple hat I could buy?
There is a purple. Yeah, sure. He's got like a whole hat rack of purple hats. Wizard hats, Volo types of hats, top hats, all purple.
Yeah,
I want a purple hat too.
I'm thinking of a top hat.
A top hat? Yeah, you can get one for a silver. There's one for a silver.
Yes, please.
1 silver. Well, it is. He kind of looks down at his wrist and he says, "Whoa, it's getting kind of late here. I think it's about time to close up shop for the night. I hope to see you guys again. And if you like those trinkets, please feel free to come back and pick one up anytime. I have gobs of them. I have soblobs of them."
He sounds so sad. That's all I can think of. He sounds like a sad person.
You
that
have
just wants
no
friends.
clue. I just curl up in a fetal position every night and just cry myself to sleep, my lady. You have no clue. Goodbye. I'm closed.
That's weird. Let's head off to the bar, guys. Come on.
I mean, he was completely useless, no good information, but I did get this cool doll.
He
So
did. He
not
gave
a
you some
complete
information. He told you that, a couple of good-looking guys that looked the same could have passed off by brothers. Looks like they were, maybe attacked. But well, they were jumped by 5 guys. Looks like the same guys that were down there in the road, in the cobblestone road, face down dead.
We got a tattoo on one of them, but he didn't
flying
tell us
snake.
anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't
All
you
right.
say
Well, here. Let's when we go to the bar, we can ask about Bloom or Floon, and then someone else needs to ask about the guy with the snake tattoo. See if you can place them.
I got
Sure.
a quick question before we walk out of here. Did you say that Zoblob had some tattoos on him that we'd seen before?
In
Yeah.
the eyeballs.
He had eyeball
Yeah.
tattoos.
They were on his face. They were those eyeball tattoos that were the same types of eyeballs that were on the gentleman that jumped Yagra.
part of the Xanathar's Guild.
2 and 2. Possible. That is possible.
So he's already put us out of the shop then.
But
Well,
we
no,
can
you
always
guys can.
sneak out
He's
the
trying to
shop
push you
and,
guys out of the. He's trying to push you guys out of the shop. So he's like, "Yeah, it's time to close, everybody. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for spending your hard-earned gold."
I'm going to ask him about his tattoos. And
Oh well, I like beholders, as you can see with my big fluffy Kush beholder that I have up in the window.
so
Nice.
that's what they're supposed to represent is beholder
Of
eyes?
course, of course.
What would you say if I told you I saw a fella just not an hour ago on the other side of town that had the exact same kind of tattoos that you have on your face?
Well, I would say, you know what I would say? What a kawaki dink.
I'd like
What
to
a
do an
coinky
insight
dink.
check.
Sure, you can give me an insight check in the tower. Or not in the tower.
My bad.
That's okay, no problem at all. Yeah, he says, what a coinky dink. And you're like, seems like he's telling the truth to me. That's for you,
They do
Greaves.
seem a bit different.
There you go. I like it. Yeah, they seem like they're not identical, but yeah. But he says, what a coinky dink. And he just gives everybody a smile.
I wish him good night and leave.
You have a good night too, sir. And then he reaches over and kind of blows out all of the lights in the window where his all of those big candles, probably out of the street lamps out there. And he blows out all the candles and it gets dark. Thanks for stopping by Zoblobs. We're open every day from sunup to sundown.
And I tilt my new purple hat toward him
as the bottle of wine falls out of your sleeve and breaks on the ground.
No. I hope not.
No, it doesn't. All right. So you guys bid Zoblob a farewell, and you never asked him how much his beholder was, Seraphina.
Yeah, I totally forgot. I was too distracted with my new pincushion doll.
He tells you, it's not for sale. There's no amount of money in the entire world that I would sell this. It's worth too much to me. Too much sentimental value. I'm going to go crawl up into that fetal position now. I'll see you all.
Sad man.
So the Skewered Dragon. You know, it's a couple of storefronts down. And, you know, this place is in ruin. You know, both of its front-facing windows are smashed out. There's a huge ship's anchor lodged into the damn roof of this place somehow. You're like, how in the hell did this happen? You know, the chain's kind of hanging over. You know, through the windows you can see a group of haggard patrons. And they're drinking, gambling. They're drinking from much bigger tankards than what's at the Yawning Portal. These tankards are like almost as big as those German boots, Das Boots that you would drink of in Germany. These things are huge. And you guys walk into the Skewered Dragon.
Yeah, I go right up to the bartender and first order a big tankard of ale.
Sure.
And then, as he's pouring it, I say, "Hey,
hey, good to see you again. Good to see you again, there, Dantes. Do you want the usual? You want the usual, the Shirley Temple, right?
Yeah. Shirley Temple.
I sit next to him.
I'm just joshing you. Good to see you too as well, Greaves. Who's your friends that you brought in tonight? And good to see you too as well, Seraphina. Who's your friends you guys brought in?
Just some guys hanging out. Hey, the other night, like 2 nights ago, 2 guys came in here drinking up the place. They claimed they had ladies falling all over them. 2 dandies. One guy named Volo, the other guy named Floon.
Yeah, Volo. He's a regular in here all the time. Yeah, but he was with his friend Floon the other night, and he sets down some tankards and start to pour some ale and the other drinks that you guys want into these big old flaggards, and he says, they were in here the other night, and they were doing some drinking and some gambling, and they were messing with the ladies, and it was actually a pretty busy night, and I remember Volo, he left first, but Floon kind of hung around for a while still. He was a good-looking young guy, good-looking. Ladies were all over him.
I kind of lean up to him or get a little closer to him and say, "Hey, Floon's been missing since that night. Do you know what happened?"
Oh, well, yeah, and you know that you would have to give him a couple of silver as a tip as well. Or a couple of gold, whatever. Yeah. And you kind of push this over to him, and he says, "Yeah, you know what, Dante? I I do remember what happened a couple of nights ago. And he says after Volo left, Volo kept saying something that he had some bright idea with some new ideas for some stupid book that he was writing. So after Volo left, another, Floon hung around for a while, and another one, I guess he was one of his friends, actually a pretty popular guy. You guys know who Renaer Neverember is, right? And of course, as soon as he says Renaer Neverember, you guys know that this guy is the son of the previous Open Lord of Waterdeep, Dagult Neverember. So you guys know this is he's a son of the old Open Lord of Waterdeep. And
what was his first name?
It's Renaer Neverember. Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll put it in chat for you.
Thank you.
Really? He came down here? What was he doing in the dashboard?
That Renaer Neverember, he's a chip off of the old block, I tell you. He's a good-looking guy, and in fact, he and Floon, they look so much alike, they can almost pass as brothers pretty much. But he's a chip off the old block, that one is. He says, but then again, he's just another one of those spoiled, rich, noble kids who likes to rub our noses in it pretty much. But he's a great tipper, though. I will give him that. But anyway, the two drank, and they played, some three-dragon ante. They were gambling. They gambled quite a few rounds. They were probably... I would say they were probably here till about midnight. They were taking these guys' money. I think there were 4 or 5 of these guys that they were just taking all their money. And then the two of them, both Floon and Neverember, they head off, and a couple minutes later, the guys that they were basically taking all their money, they followed them right out. And I haven't seen Neverember or Floon or those 5 guys since.
These 5 guys, what do they look like?
Well, I think they were probably part of some type of network or gear or guild. And in fact, as one of my suppliers in the warehouse district, I've actually seen these types of guys frequenting a warehouse over on Candle Lane. And I would, they were at this place. I didn't know what kind of place it was, but I do remember that there was sort of like a symbol of a snake on a sign out there, like a flying snake or something like that on one of the doors in the warehouse district. So, hey, when I've been down there shopping for the bar here, picking up caskets of ale and grog and stuff, I've seen guys that kind of look like these guys hanging around on there, and I'm not going to turn down anybody's money. So as long as they're a paying customer, I'm going to let them patronize me.
Wow, but they haven't been back since.
No, I haven't seen the 5 guys, or I haven't even. By the way, 5 Guys is a great place, and it's in the Castle District. They've got the best burgers ever.
Yeah.
They do. Holy cow. And they cut their own fries as well with the potatoes. Good stuff. But yeah, I've haven't seen him since. I haven't seen Floon or Neverember. In fact, that was the first time I had ever seen Neverember in here. But the other guy, Floon, he'd frequent once in a while, but he would usually just come with Volo.
Well, thanks. You've been super helpful. I think we know where to visit next.
I appreciate your coin.
Start counting my
yeah, I definitely appreciate your coin, as it gives you a couple of winks,
Don't mention we were around asking about him, okay? And I'll wink back.
My mouth is shut, as he does the old zips his lips shut and throws the key over his shoulder. He does that, yeah.
Yeah, unless someone else pays him more. But I don't say that.
Of course, that's the way it works.
I ask him, what else aren't you telling us?
Do you want to give him a insight check?
Yeah, sure. Tower or no?
Tower, please. He seems genuine. And in fact, even because you could see that Dante slid 2 gold pieces over to him. his eyes really lit up. So you could tell by the way that he was talking to Dante that he was being very forthcoming, as far as you can tell.
All right.
Plus, I know him. He wouldn't lie.